Well, the final section in this series is changes as you age. Does your marriage change as you get older? If so, how? Older is a relative term.
Hopefully it changes for the better continually. You get to know each other better and better. You are communicating better, or you know how to communicate with your spouse better. Sometimes it's the simple things like not asking what restaurant you want to go to, or at 6 o'clock in the morning not asking what you want to eat because you don't want to eat at that time. But just you know each other better, so it should be better. You should still be relying on God for guidance. So in many ways, it should just continue to improve.
Outside of any hypotheticals of things making change, right? I mean, obviously kids are going to change things, but if there's no major hurdles and things that affect your marriage, hopefully it should change for the better in that you've been able to communicate better. You're just more comfortable with them. It doesn't take as much to know when something's wrong or something good is happening, so there's just a more familiarity, more comfortable level. So I think if hopefully it's changing to the point of more comfort and more enjoyment. That's obviously the goal, I think, is for it to change to a more intimate level, in that you've grown that much closer to each other.
I think you spend your years, however many you have, while you have kids in the home, you spend those years so that when your kids leave home, there's still a relationship here. Because if you did put God first and you put your spouse second, that relationship will be there and will have grown, will have matured to where you do know each other better, but you just enjoy the company. And there is comfort. So that when the kids are gone, you still want to be together and have that relationship that is satisfying and enjoyable, where you can still laugh with one another and you look forward to that time together.
You have history. Of course, you've got more history with each other than we do. But we have history together.
We do.
And you can appreciate that history. And you can appreciate the building of trust and confidence in the other person. And there is some comfort in that. You don't want to be so comfortable that you start neglecting, but there's a level of comfort and peace in the home the older you get. And if there are hurdles, if there are barriers, if there are things that have occurred that are of a semi-disastrous situation, it can certainly draw you closer together.
A friend of mine with our son, he's almost 20. They're like, "Oh, friend, you only got one more, and then you're going to be an empty nester." And when I said the words out loud, I'm like, ooh, if my kids heard that, they might get mad. But I was like, I'm actually looking forward to them being gone, because I get my husband back slowly to me. I'm like, oh, we can do what we want. We don't have to take them into consideration anymore.
Well, and there's joy in seeing them as adults living a Christian life and happy on their own. That's when you know you've done the best you can, and they're moving forward. It is fun being an empty nester. I'm not going to lie. We love our grandkids a lot, but we also love that time that we have together. And the piece that we were joking about having our morning coffee out on the patio. Well, I haven't been able to do that for the last 32 years, except in the summertime when it's too hot. So I do enjoy that. I like to get up early and take that out there, and I just find pleasure in those things. And I think as you grow older, you do have a little less energy, I will just say, probably, but there's comfort in just doing the simple things together. It doesn't have to be a big deal.
Exactly.
You know, in a lot of respects, though, it still comes down, and you said it, is what has been the focus the whole time. The number of situations that I've heard of, and in a lot of these cases, it was military, but you know, the husband would be gone for a year or 3 years at a time, and for 30 years, and then they retire and they go home, and all of a sudden, they don't communicate, they don't talk. A lot of them would get divorced because they don't know each other. They haven't invested the time in each other. The one has just been taking care of the house and taking care of the kids and taking care of everything stateside, and the other one has been gone, career. I know that was the last topic, but they don't know each other. They haven't grown together, developed together, and they don't know what to do. Where, yeah, if we're spending our married life, God 1 and spouse 2, when we do become empty nesters, when we do get to that age, it should be a much better outcome than what it otherwise could be.
Well, and with God 1 and spouse 2, as you get older, and whatever that relative, right, Hugh? But I mean, if it is actually older and what people perceive as older into their 70s or longer, and y'all are still both alive and married, then I would think if you have had God first and the spouse second, there's also going to be a very higher level of peace between the two of you, because if that's the case, then the two of y'all have been helping each other get closer to God, and not to sound morbid or anything, but you're getting
Closer to God.
very close to being close to God. So, but my point is, there should be a peace there that y'all have not made it, right? Because every day you're still, but you can kind of see the fruits of your labor, that maybe it's all making more sense. Like it's making a little bit more sense and becoming a little bit more real. So that peace should elevate, I think, in y'all's lives.
Different tasks around the house may change. Illness or disability can cause change. But again, as has been stated, if the priorities are correct, then the time can be extremely enjoyable and satisfying and fulfilling. And you will have opportunities to do more for more people and assist in different ways, that with children in the house, with children's activities, even if you have them third while they're in the home, you will still have more time to do things together.
I think the older you become, and this was apparent when he was so ill a couple of years ago, it's important that both spouses understand where we are financially, where the records are, how to access those. Sometimes when you're talking about defining those roles, either the husband says, I'm going to take care of all the finances, you don't have to worry about a thing. Perfect. My thing was always just be sure there's enough money in the account, because I'm not ever going to look at it.
We tried that one time, but it didn't go.
And then sometimes the wife needs to be the one to take care of it. That's exactly right. But if when I didn't think he was going to live, I mean, I knew how to pay bills, but I know how he paid them because I just didn't look at him. So when he got well, that was something we had to fix. I needed to know where things were because I didn't. And that was a wake-up call. I think we need to set our spouse up to be able to live without us in the physical realm, because emotionally it's going to be bad enough.
Yeah.
But we never know what's going to happen to us, and the older we get, the greater the likelihood something will happen.
But the same aspect, your guys' situation and Mr. Hugh getting sick affected mine. I was like, I don't know how to access anybody at Toyota to turn in a computer. I don't know what happens with my corporate lease if he passes away. And it made me tell him, I'm like, I have to know how to do all this in Toyota stuff. And then I need, because again, he does everything online. I need all your passwords.
Right.
Because how am I going to get into accounts if you're gone to pay these things? And it was a wake-up call for me. I'm like, I've been living in La La Land. Just
Which is my fault. That's the thing. It's not her fault.
But we were
That's
trying to
my
take
fault.
care of one another, right?
Yeah.
And you have your assigned roles that you guys have. I mean,
We
your
agreed on.
strength may be the finance.
and it is. He's an accountant. It's very much his strength, you know.
But that comes with some of that examination that we've talked about. And it's something might seem very compassionate, very kind, very nice, but if you go down 3 levels to the outcome, it's like, oh, that's actually kind of cruel. It's actually mean. It's like, no, she needs to have this information. It's not like she needs to go in there every month and now take care of the bills, but she needs to have that somewhere. She needs to have that information locked away so that she can do it.
Talking about if one of them passes away, right? But when we make those vows, I'm sure we all said something to the effect of sickness and then health. You have to have those conversations of, okay, if we live long enough, not only is there a chance that we're going to pass away sooner, but there's a chance that we may come down with some kind of debilitating disease of either our bodies or mind or both, whatever. And so you have to have those kind of uncomfortable but necessary conversations as well.
To piggyback on that, you have to have the other uncomfortable conversations of you're not there, somebody calls 911. Are you a DNR? Are you an organ donor? What do you, if the ambulance, because legally the ambulance comes, they take them to the hospital, you're not there, they put them on life support. Now, you have to come up with all this paperwork.
Yeah.
And our children cringe but we've had these real conversations. We know what each other want. But when you're younger and married, those are the last things away from your mind.
Right.
And until you are faced, even if it's not in your group, in your immediate family, but in your church family, something catastrophic happens, it makes you real quickly reanalyze how many decisions you still have to make in your marriage.
And I was going to say, so with aging parents, my dad does have everything written down. He told me the other day, he said, he redid it after my mom died. He said, you're going to need to call 3 people. He's got a binder. It's all set out. And I appreciate that. You know, on my phone, this is where all my passwords are. And then he was like, well, we need the password to his phone. So we got that too. Because I wouldn't be able to
Didn't
get
think
in.
of that.
Yeah.
But not only do I need to do that my dad has done that for us. We need to do that for our children. Those life things it's gonna happen. It's appointed unto man once to die. It's gonna happen. That's just part of the aging process, things to think about, and not only be sure we're ready spiritually, which is important, but to make sure that we're ready physically for our family.
Well, that love we're supposed to have for our spouse is not just a spiritual love. It's a physical love. And, you know, if we're not taking care of those things, once we're made aware of them, are we loving our spouse? Or we're not, if we're not taking care of those things.
I did want to cycle back to the aging process when you're retired or getting older and you're empty nesters. That's the time to take up a new hobby together or find something new that will energize you and make you excited about spending that time together.
We decided we're golfing again, since we haven't done that in
Long time.
a long time.
So the final question we have is, how do you continue working towards the biblical marriage as you age?
You continue to emphasize God and spouse. You continue to work out your own salvation, and you continue in prayer. It's continual. That's the thing. It's continue. You never reach the end point until you actually die. So you just continue, and you look to improve. All because you've been a Christian for 50 years or 60 years doesn't mean you can't improve. Just realize that. Have that humility to know that there's something I can do better. There's information. If nothing else, you can pass on information to younger so that they can improve. But just always looking to continually improve.
You know, my goal for him, should I die first, is that he has no regrets in our relationship. And I think the same thing is true the other way. So you do want to keep working on, keep letting them know that you love them, and not just in words, but all those little actions are really important.
I think the actions end up being
I do too.
far more important than the words.
A friend of mine had a grandmother who was fairly ill down in the valley, and she had been hospitalized for a week or so. She got out of the hospital on a Saturday. On Sunday morning, she marched right up the steps at the church building, and the preacher said, "Sister, what are you doing here?" And she said, "I'm doing the same thing here that you are. I'm here to worship my God." Being one of the older ones, I can look back through my past at older people that really didn't have a lot to offer in the service except their example. And old, arthritic, hard to get around, hard of hearing, whatever. They were there the same reason I was. And that example is golden. It's been enjoyable for us to be here. It's been enjoyable to be a part of this discussion. I think we've all learned something about marriage, and not just about you individually. But I appreciate so much the opportunity to do this. And unless any of you have something to say, I think we'll close at this point. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook for more content like this.